Good day, everyone. My name is René Schlatter. I'm here alongside Andrew Wright, Merryvale winemaker. Today we're going to taste some Cabernet. We have 4 different vintages of Cabernet, 11 through 14 from our estate vineyard. By the way, we are in the tank room here at Merryvale, one of our favorite places to enjoy some of those fabulous wines. So let's talk a little bit about them. Maybe we'll start with the, what do you think, the younger one, the older one?
Let's go with the 11, I think.
Okay, let's start with the 2011 and then kind of work our way up. Let you kind of give us your impression about the different vintages, and we'll have a little chat about it.
Yeah, that sounds great. So 2011 is kind of notorious for being a difficult growing year. I think we all remember that. It was a lot of rains, so lower crop yields. We had to really be selective in the vineyard before we harvested in.
Difficult set, for sure.
Difficult fruit set, so it was about half the set, and then, of course, the late rains during harvest.
Yeah, so we had to drop even more fruit.
Right.
So we ended up very small, with a very small crop.
Very small, but at the same time, I feel like the fruit that we did harvest is very potent, powerful. I get a lot of really great kind of dark fruit, savory characters in this wine. It tends to be a little bit more on the Bordeaux side than maybe a typical Napa would, but I really like that about it. It's elegant, it's long, it's got really nice, vibrant acidity. I think it's still...
Yeah, elegant, I think, is a great way to describe it. It's not the most powerful vintage that we've ever had, but everything is there. All the components are there, maybe a little bit well, not quite as concentrated, but nothing wrong with that. It's farming at the end of the day, so every vintage is going to be different. So I really enjoy the 11s. These days they're about 10 years old or so now, and yeah, great to drink. And you can certainly, I think, just because of the low yields and the concentration that it still has, you can keep them for a while, for sure. Oh, yeah. But great to drink now. So
it's ready to go, but like you said, it still has some length to it. Also, a great food wine, just because the acidity is higher, it's going to be phenomenal with food.
Yeah, I think that goes mostly for all our wines, generally speaking. But
when the wines are good, when the wines are all good, they all go with food, right? So yeah, let's go to the 12. Yeah. The 12 is a special one in my memory, being kind of like what is considered to be the last typically classic Napa vintage before we have the drought years of 13, 15, like that. Considered to be a great growing season. It's an even ripening vintage, the 12s, so not too hot, not too cool. Yeah. Harvest kind of came in evenly and really allowed, I think, for a nice
I think it was a bit
pick.
On the early side, if my memory is, or maybe it's 13. It all blends in after a few years, I guess. But yeah, very. I've said this before, but I think to me the 12s are very sexy, very easy drinking, very seamless, long finish, super pleasant. Still the case today when I taste this wine.
There's a luxuriousness to those tannins. It's a silky wine. It's seamless. It's super long in the finish. It has more concentration, I think, than the 11 does.
Yes, for sure.
A little more powerful right now. The year younger, but also
a little more fruit forward.
A little more fruit forward.
But yes.
But you can see the common lineage of these two wines. I mean, it still has the same kind of characteristic backbone. Those dark, savory fruits, that kind of Con Valley Cabernet kind of essence to it.
Yeah, these wines are made from our estate vineyard. We make 2 wines from that property. One is the Profile, some of you may know, and the other one is this Cabernet we're tasting here today. So let's jump into 13 vintage and maybe talk a little bit about the expression of the fruit that we see that are, from specific blocks. That not always the same blocks. It varies a little bit from year to year because every growing season is different. So that's the beauty about what we do, or about what you do specifically, is walking the vineyards, and every year is different. Makes it so much fun for us.
Well, it's also even more fun with our vineyard, because just René's being modest, our estate vineyard is spectacular. It has 18 blocks that encompass 4 discrete mountain ridges in the Con Valley, so we have different elevation changes, different slopes and orientations of our vineyard blocks, different rootstocks and clonal selections for our plant material. So we really do every year get a completely, not different necessarily, but every year is different, but we have a broad spectrum. We have a wide palette to choose from, which makes, I think, the Profile and the St. Helena Cab so great, is because the material is so great to start with, and they just produce different expressions of the Cab, which is really interesting.
Yeah, kind of the artist's palette with so much so many different aspects and exposures that we have on this property.
It's really
which is
incredible.
fantastic.
So
And you would
yeah.
think that, excuse me to interrupt, but you would think that just, the blocks being continuous to each other, that you would think the wines are, but they're very different from each block.
Very
right?
different. Yeah, because I mean, like one of the ridges is more sandy loam soil. The other one's more rocky volcanic soil. I mean, you're talking about 50 yards away from each other. It's totally different soil types and different expressions.
Yeah.
It's just part of the fun of Napa Valley.
So 13 to me is still, again, it's a big, still has ways to go. Where the 12, and we're going to taste the 14 here in a bit, I think are maybe a little bit more ready to go along with the 11. The 13, you could still, you get a 4-pack, so you can still stash this one away for a little bit. That's my feeling. You certainly can enjoy it with a great steak, ribeye, or whatever pleases your palate.
Or decanted a couple hours earlier than maybe you would with the 12. To me, we're talking about the vintages. 13 is the first of the drought years, so kind of 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 13 was kind of a shorter growing season, earlier harvest. We had more concentration, I think, in the fruit across the board. All the 13s I've tasted up and down the valley. More tannin. I think for us, having those mountain tannins is actually, it's really beautiful right now. I mean, it's clearly more concentrated than the 12, but at the same time, it does have that kind of trademark elegance, and it has like the freshness to it too, that kind of carries that through, but definitely a bigger wine, so to speak, than I think the 12 would be. Just different. It depends on how you like your wines. If you'd like them more ready to go, I think the 12 is right here. I think the 13 is something that could stand a little more cellar time or decanted earlier.
Yeah, very much food-friendly wines. I mean, that's what we, we always say we make wines that we like to drink. So, but with food, even better. So, let's jump in the 14 here, the last one.
14, I remember just being one of my favorite vintages from start to finish. It is technically a vintage in the drought years, but at the same time, more water than in 2013. So we had, our water tables, kind of the reservoirs filled up a little bit more. There was less extreme temperatures than there were in 13, so maybe a little hotter in terms of total degree day, but there were less high spikes in temperature. So the harvest was a little bit longer than in 13, a little more even, and so allowed for kind of more even ripening.
I think a little bit more like the 12 also. I mean, sweet, I love this wine. Sweet entry, luscious fruit. It's fantastic. 13, as you pointed out, had a little bit more spikes. I think a heat wave in June, July, if I remember correctly. It's a long time ago. So, hope you'll enjoy those wines. There's special offer that you're going to get, so check out your emails. Normally about $600 for the 4 bottles. We offer special pricing for members and customers. And also, if you upgrade to a full case, you get a carbon pivot as well. So check that out. That's another $75, $80 value. So a great deal all in all. And don't forget to check out our website for upcoming events, or come and visit us here at the winery. We're all fully vaccinated now, and we welcome customers either outside or in the winery itself on warm days. So thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers.